Lacey just like showed me Angel, her cat, just like laying with her. I was about to say you could literally probably just like keep her like just let that be the podcast. Like all you see is Angel.
Okay. I'm gonna respect her wishes and let her sleep.
Yeah, right. Welcome back to the Mister
And a sister.
podcast with Trev.
And Lacey.
We're back. Audio only because yeah, my camera is just I don't know. I probably need to rather get a new one or just keep audioing. I don't really care at this point. We just need to really get out an episode. There's been a lot. It always feels like there's always so much in between episodes. Like if we go on a long break for like a month, then a lot happens. Especially to her, not me.
Yeah.
So there's so much. Okay, I think we should just start with the whole weather thing because you could sort of just build up to your other thing. Like if you want to talk about, like, do you want to talk about like why you're like in bed for like a while?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Well then, like, we'll see if we could even squeeze that in. But I want to just get in a good hour, so I'm sure we'll be able to fit it in. But so everyone around the United States has experienced a lot of different weather and tornadoes and stuff like that. And lo and behold, between last episode and this one, Lacey was basically right in the middle of one of those really bad tornado storms, which is nuts. So just whenever you're ready, just tell us that story because it's actually pretty insane. Like you literally said it's the closest to death you've ever been.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like what even happened?
I'm just gonna kind of start on that whole weekend. First of
Sounds
all.
good.
Okay, so we went with it was my dad and his friend, and then his friend's kid. So there was like 4 of them and 4 of us, so like 8 people. And yeah, it was eventful. So we went to go float a river, and we thought it was going to be a 4-hour float. Turned out being a 6-hour float. We had some complications with like the kayaks and all this stuff, and it took us a while to get on the water. So we didn't get on the water till about 2 o'clock, and there's a halfway point in the float where you can get off and they play music and have food trucks and a rope swing and a lake or like a pond that you swim in and all this kind of stuff. So if y'all know how a river works, once you get on the river, there's no turning around or stopping. Like you can bank over to the side, but that's kind of how they got off of the halfway point is they banked. We all kind of got separated just talking and whatnot. And I had stopped at Cotter. Kevin missed it, and then 2 of the other people that were with us also missed it. So they went across and banked, like they could see Cotter or where you stop at across the river, but there was no getting over there. And then Kevin had missed it and he couldn't bank, so he kept going. And that's when I realized, oh, he's not stopping and I'm not letting him float alone, like for the rest of the way. So I'm just going to go. So I catch up with Kevin in like 10 minutes. And he's like, hey, if we don't keep going, we're not going to get back before dark. And I was like, yeah, like we'll make it. And so will they. And he's like, no, like I just looked at how much longer we have left, and I think the river's moving too slow. We're not going to make it. So we start paddling with all of our might, and eventually I was like to the point where I was crying. I was tired. It was hot. And then the sun started setting, and the wind was blowing like crazy. So I was getting cold. It was just a whole crazy experience. We finally got back, and then we noticed our people were not back, and nobody had phone service. So we waited for like 45 minutes to an hour, and they never showed up. So we start freaking out at this point. I'm like, should we drive up the road and go get service and try to call them? But the only thing is nobody else is in this parking lot, like where you get off at. You drop your car off there. You have to work it out with your team and stuff. Figure out who's going to go to the start and the end. So you bank your kayaks at the end, and it's like a boat dock, like where people put their boats in. And um, he was using his car to use his headlights because at this point it's dark and the fog is all along the river. So he was using his headlights to signal them whenever he saw them that it's time to stop because else they wouldn't be able to see where the boat ramp is. Because if they missed it, that would be a whole nother issue. Um, so he's like, I don't want to leave because if they do come back, then we're risking them missing it. So we just had to sit there. At this point, it's like 9 o'clock, and they finally pull up in somebody else's vehicle. They had stopped at a lodge like 30 minutes before we were supposed to get off. And they drug their kayaks up this mountain to where the lodge is. They drove them over there to the end to pick us up. It was like a whole thing, and they didn't get back
Dang.
to the campsite until like 1 a.m. So yeah, it was a crazy experience. It was very scary, but that was not the end of our night. So sorry. We have me and Kevin have a camper, and everybody else was camping in two separate tents. So we get back. I had stayed up to make dinner for everybody once they got back. Kevin actually fell asleep. He wasn't feeling good. He had too much sun. So I make dinner, and then I wait till everybody gets back. I talk to them. Like they had to drive an hour to go drop the kayaks off after that, and then come an hour back. So they had been gone for like 3 hours at this point. Um, our two friends went home, but the other four people that we were with were still the ones who came back. So they eat dinner. Everybody settles down and goes to bed. It's like 2:30 at this point. I think it was about 3:30 whenever me and Kevin were sound asleep. I was sleeping so nicely, and after that long day, and our phones start going off. And I knew that it was supposed to rain, and like I knew there was supposed to be like thunderstorms and stuff, and I was kind of worried about it. But I was like, what's the chances of me ever being in a tornado? Like, especially not right now. I'm in a
Yeah. You never think it's gonna happen to you, and like just to kind of let people know, obviously without pinpointing our exact locations or anything, but we are a brother and sister from Arkansas, and like it's sort of what people call Tornado Alley, but like in the vicinity. But like the thing is in the areas where we live, there's always like a lot of mountains and stuff. Like I mean, certain cities don't have that. Like the city I lived in before this one was maybe more considered more flat, but like my hometown, like where our mom lives, is like more mountainy, and you're never gonna see a tornado hit that. If you do, then it's basically the end of the world. But then you have a little town that's between here and there that like got hit at that in like '07 or whenever that was, and it like wiped out a bunch of trees and stuff. So it's kind of like certain areas are more open than others. And so yeah, me and Lacey both pretty much, I mean, and Ashley all pretty much have the perspective of like, yeah, like the likelihood, like we do have touchdowns, we do have like whatever you call it, the portion of it like before it actually touches down, the swirl of it all or whatever is like gets spotted sometimes whenever there's bad storms. Like tornadoes do pop up, but we never, neither one of us have been in a situation where like, oh, you know, your house gets destroyed or like stuff that other people have dealt with. So yeah, Lacey's perspective on that and that weekend is just like, yeah, this isn't gonna happen. And then like, so anyway, you were saying about the weather, like it just like it
yeah.
started to get worse.
Well, I didn't even hear the rain outside, and that was what confused me. Is like it. We woke up to our phones blaring, and he said, "Kevin woke me up." He looked at me. He was like, "There's a tornado warning," which we've been in a tornado warning before in the house that we're in. Like, like you said, tornado.
Yeah,
We always take cover for tornado warnings, just because I have anxiety and I get scared. But I've never been in a tornado warning where there was actually a tornado outside of me, like outside of my house. So I turn on And if you are from Arkansas, watch Arkansas Weather Watchers whenever there's severe weather because they always do the best. Like they tell you exactly where it's at, exactly what time it's going to hit your town, how long you have to take cover. Like they do an
Yeah, you have plenty of warning.
yeah. So I turned on Arkansas Weather Watchers, and they started naming off where we were at, like our direct location. And I was like, oh, like it must be the tornado warning that it's going to touch down here. I did not know that there was already two twin tornadoes already touched down a mile up the road from us. So me and Kevin just sit on our bed in the camper. We don't have anywhere to take shelter at other than the bathroom, and I didn't think that we can make a run for it, but we were gonna try. So I get everybody in the camper. So um, my dad and his friend they got in the camper, and then the friend that he was with noticed that her daughter wasn't there, and neither was her daughter's friend. So she ran out to their tent and woke them up and got them in the camper. So it's like six of us sitting in our camper that's made for like 2 to 4 people. So it was pretty packed in there. And then I was like, I think we have to make a run for the bathroom. Like this is coming straight towards us. So whenever we open the door flies open. Like as soon as we open it, and it slams against the back of our camper. I thought it flew off the hinges, honestly, but
Yeah.
we. I really don't remember because I was half awake, but I know that we were going outside, and at that time I heard a big boom, and like whenever I looked outside, and I'm pretty like my dad was standing outside, the tree fell on the back room that we were about to make a run.
Yeah, like the way you had told it last time to me was like your dad was like, "Well, okay guys, like let's I think we'd actually be safer at the little public cuz isn't it one of those public restrooms that's like
Yes.
concrete around it or whatever, like at parks and stuff? Or is it?
Yeah, it's concrete.
Okay, yeah, just like one of those like outside concrete, like not like a outhouse, but just like a big. So he was like, "Let's go over there," and then like y'all start taking off towards it, and then you just
Yeah.
see like, and you literally just see the tree freaking fall right on it and crush it. Like that was when you told me that is genuinely like that is right out of a movie. That is
Yeah.
like I can literally imagine the camera panning and looking at the tree, and it's literally out of like the movie Twister. Like just like it just crushes it, and then you're like, never mind. And so then that would be like a moment in a movie where there's like a little bit of humor in the dangerous situation because that is like, yes, it was scary for y'all that night, but that is genuinely kind of funny because it's just like it just
Yeah.
crushes it right in front of your eyes, and then y'all like, okay, now what? Like it's like what the heck, bro?
Yeah. So we all go back in the camper, and at this point it's getting worse because now trees are falling all around us, and I just hear them. Like I heard metal clanking at some point, and I now know that that was the dumpsters at the campsite being crushed by trees and torn apart. Um, so and what's even scarier, I'll get to that in a second, but um, so then I hear a big, like a huge boom, and I was like, okay, somebody's vehicle just got crushed, and it actually wasn't. So our campsite was like right next to the road. It was a really big campground, and ours just happened to be right on the road. A tree had fell across the road, a huge tree, and I mean, our camper to that tree. I'm not good with measurements, but like maybe less than a car's length away from my camper. So that would have been horrible. But like limbs and everything else was just smacking into our camper. It was shaking the camper, everything else. So at this point, the tents are flipped upside down. They're destroyed. The storm finally like kind of calms down a little bit. So then um, the 4 people that were with us, they went and got in their vehicles. And they were like, okay, we'll worry about this in a few hours. We need to get some sleep. So, gosh, we lay back down. I try to go back to sleep, and then another round of storms comes through. That was even, I mean, it that sounded worse than the first round of storms did, but there was no tornado with that storm that I'm aware of. It done more damage by knocking more trees over because of the wind, but it also knocked the power out in like all the cities around us and us. So it it was crazy. Yeah, the next So the next day we get up and we drive, and we realize there was a campsite. Um, it was our campsite, and then there was a dam with a bridge, and then a campsite on the other side. We were gonna stay at that campsite, but they got full. But that campsite was destroyed. Like, campers were flipped upside down, and cars were damaged. Trees were down all over. There was a playground park. There was trees all over the playground. Like, the playground was destroyed. Um, so it was pretty scary. Like, I'm actually not sure. I don't think so, but I really do think that a tornado didn't go through our campground and went through that one and passed by our campground, but ours was just like the aftermath and the wind and like being in such close proximity. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just my opinion on that. But yeah, it was a scary situation. It was even scarier the next morning whenever we waited to get gas until that morning, and we were on our way home, and Kevin had like no gas left, and we were driving around trying to find a gas station with power and like almost ran out of gas. Finally, like, found one 30 minutes away with power that we were able to get gas in. Everybody was there. I mean, it took us 30 minutes just to get through the line at the gas pumps. It was crazy. Um, but yeah, that's my horror story about my tornado.
Well, you told it amazingly because I probably would have been all over the place because like it's just one of those types of like experiences that when you've been through something like that, it's like you want to hit all the information, and it's just like there's so much detail and stuff like that, and it's kind of hard. Like, I don't know, going through something is just so different than trying to tell it because it's like sometimes I don't even want to tell a story just because I like it's nothing like when you experienced it. It's crazy. And then my perspective was just like, I gotta call you. I'm like, okay. And then you're like, so I almost died last night. And I'm like, excuse me? And then she's just like, yeah, remember how, all those tornadoes have been around and stuff? Like, yeah, we were kind of in one of those. And I'm just like imagining like y'all actually flying in one. But, uh, but then, I don't remember if you just said this or not, but the scariest part about that whole experience is you telling me that like 8 people died in the campsite beside y'all or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Something
that
like that. It's a number like that.
yeah, it's crazy. So I really feel bad for those people and their families, but I'm really glad that we did not stay at that campsite. Um,
Yeah.
I definitely think it was like God saving us, because
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we wouldn't have made it, I don't think. So
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, and it's just like I was saying, the movie Twister. Like, it's just so funny that all this like tornadoes and stuff because like everyone's so hyped about Twisters is the sequel coming out, and there's never been a sequel to that, and it's just like I wonder how many people are just gonna be like can't even go see that because they're just like because a lot of people really are experiencing right now, and prayers to everybody that is experiencing it, but like there's a lot of people that don't have homes right now because and even in Arkansas, like there's some houses that got wiped out, and it's like, dude, I saw somebody online, like these two brothers that live together or whatever, like they have a dog and everything too, and a tornado hit their house and they were trying to take shelter. So the next thing one of the brothers remembers is just waking up in the rubble. And then, like, imagine just waking up in your house is rubble and you don't know where your dog is or your other brother is. And then your other brother just kind of walks up from outside, just kind of like damaged a little, but he's fine. And then they're just like, oh, he had a moment of like, oh, thank God. And I'm just like, he's alive. And then they heard the dog barking, like, underneath some stuff or whatever, but he was like sort of in a big enough space where the dog was just trapped, but he wasn't buried under stuff. Like, he was just in a open space, but the open space was buried. And that's the Lord, because it's just like, how did y'all survive that? And I think like they live with their mom too, and just wasn't even home, so she just came back to her house being wiped out. So nuts. If any of you guys in the comments, like if you're watching on the YouTube version, like leave us in the comments if you've experienced any of this lately. Would love to hear your stories. 100%.
Yeah.
But on another note, you've kind of had a recent like something. So this is all just like Lacey's experiences as of late. You, I guess I'll just say the words like you had a big surgery.
Mhm.
And you've been kind of trying to like saying learning how to walk again sounds like real extreme, but just you've been in the bed and haven't been able to walk that much until just kind of lately you've started to kind of be able to move. So tell us about that and we can
Yeah.
discuss it.
Um. So like, why I had the surgery is because I've been having like issues, and I mean, it's really hard for me and Kevin, and I don't talk about it a lot. But like, I'm just gonna say it, like, we do have fertility issues. Unfortunately, it sucks. But I know a lot of people go through it. It's just not talked about a lot. Um. But yeah, so we were hoping to kind of resolve some of those. It's believed we believe that I have something called endometriosis, which is pretty much just like I'm trying to think how to explain it. I don't like the word disease, but I mean that's kind of what it is, inside the uterus area, and they went in to remove it. They went in through my side and my two places in my belly button, and I've been saying this all week. I've never thought I would say the phrase "my belly button hurts," but it's
Yeah.
a crazy, crazy feeling. Um, so I had surgery on Tuesday, and today's Monday, so it's been almost a week. Um, and the first surgery day was actually like really like scary. Um, it was fine until it was time to go to surgery, and I thought that they were gonna put me to sleep before the surgery, which technically they did, but they took me into the operating room, and like what you see on movies about them laying you on like the flat table that's cold. Yeah, that's pretty much what they did. They transferred me over to this table, and then they started asking me questions, and I was just like out of it. They had already given me some pain medication that made me really like drowsy, so I was I was almost out of it. And then they were like, okay, this is going to be uncomfortable. And then they started pumping stuff through my IV and like put a mask on my face. And then I fell asleep. But them asking me questions, like I do remember the first question they asked me is, are you going home today? And I remember saying, I don't know. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you don't know? And I just didn't answer back because I was so like, my brain was all over the place and I could not process what they were telling me. Because even, I guess it's just like a trauma, not trauma, but like I guess it is like a response that whenever you get that scared and you're like that overstimulated, then you just shut down. And that's kind of what I was doing. Like they hadn't put me to sleep yet, but it felt like it from how scared I was. But yeah, after the surgery, then everything like went good as far as we know. The part that I've hated the most about this is they told me since I was gonna be like out of it whenever I woke up and on the way home and stuff, just from the anesthesia, then they were gonna wait until a week, so tomorrow, on my post-op appointment to tell me how everything went, what they found, what the next steps are. Like I had to wait a whole week to even know how it went. So we don't really know anything yet until tomorrow. Um, so that's been kind of hard, but physically, it's been the first couple days I couldn't really walk. I was on a walker. Um, I don't really know how to explain the pain I was feeling because I've never felt it before, but it was literally like my whole lower stomach, like abdomen, the muscles were like so bruised and like I don't know, it's like you got punched in the stomach but not really. Um so I was kind of limping around. Friday I got out of bed and we went to like our where my mom lives and spent time with her friends and all that kind of stuff. Um so it's yeah, it's been kind of rough. Saturday, I did get out a little bit more. We went fishing and I overheated, so then I went back home. Um, And then yesterday, I would say, was probably the day that I moved around the most and wasn't really in a lot of pain. Sunday, I'm not allowed to go swimming, and I don't really know for how long, but I did get in the water. I just couldn't get above my knees. So that sucked, especially since it was so hot. But yeah, it's been a week of recovery, and I would say today I'm like 80% better.
So I'm probably gonna pull a Theo here and say like, what else is going on? Well, something in the news, like, is this like where he just suddenly is just like, what, just starting to fill up time? What, anything else like you want to talk about that's been going on with you, or like maybe with your animals or something? Like, how's the cats doing?
So we can talk about that.
All right.
So let's talk about this yesterday. Let's talk about yesterday's conversation between me and Kevin. Actually, it was a whole weekend.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna talk about the mini thing.
Yes.
All right, let's go.
So yeah, so I want you to hear all this. So Kevin has been completely closed to the idea of getting another animal, especially a dog. Now, we talked about getting a dog like a year ago, and I agreed that we are, my voice work, we are like out of town a lot with our friends and stuff on the weekend. Like we drive an hour and a half.
Yeah, even after tornadoes.
Yeah.
I was literally like, the next weekend y'all were doing something. I'm like, how do you not have PTSD from even being outside? Like,
Yeah.
but y'all are just back to fishing and getting sunburned again.
Yeah.
Like,
So we go like to our hometown every weekend, almost like every other weekendish, to hang out with our friends because that's where they're from. We don't really know a whole lot of people here. We live in a really, really small town. So yeah, I mean, there's not all the people that I work with are older. So yeah, but anyway, we talked about getting a dog, and whenever we go, we either stay with like our family, our friends. We don't have our own place, or unless we're camping, and it would be unrealistic for us to camp every single weekend. And the people that we stay with, we haven't really talked to them about bringing a dog to their house because that's what we would have to do with the puppy. We couldn't leave it here all weekend. So getting a dog has been kind of out of the conversation for almost a year now. Well, we were driving to an appointment that I had on Saturday, and we saw puppies, and they were Australian Shepherds. And Kevin was like, "Oh, look, there's puppies. Maybe we can go look at them." And I turned my head so quick. I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, I would totally get an Aussie. That's what they're called." And I was like, "What?" So then I get on Facebook
and just to like, just to like a little perspective about that is like, I in past episodes, if y'all haven't listened to that one, like, me and Ashley are fostering 3 kittens, and Lacey kind of fell in love with one of them because it looks really a lot like Ollie, and I'll be genuinely curious of like when she becomes an adult if she'll actually look a lot like him. I think she will, but maybe just less gray. But like, yeah, she really wants Minnie, and Kevin basically said no, and so it's been this like thing of like, we're fostering 3 kittens, we're gonna give these kittens for free, because otherwise we'd have 7 animals in the house, and they're staying in a room with the mom. Or we've done like 2 or 3 vet appointments, we're doctoring them, Ashley's been giving them antibiotics because one of them got sick with allergies and stuff like that, which was not Minnie, but like, we're gonna get them fixed and everything, and just kind of like, find a forever home for all 3 of them. And so Lacey's had her eye on Minnie, that's what we call her, for a while. But Kevin said no, and so she's been just slowly trying to hint like, we can, And so now Kevin's like, I want a dog, and then Lacey's like, well, what about another cat because it's easier? And then I'll let you continue what you were saying because that's pretty much them being caught up.
So I started getting on Facebook and I started looking at dogs. Kevin apparently went to go look at one, or he asked his friend that lives where we were at and said,
I like how he literally said, we can't. He said no right away because his words, we have too many animals.
Yes.
And then now he's like, I kind of want a dog.
Yeah. So
what do you mean?
Those puppies that we saw were actually $800 puppies. They're like full bred, like from professionals. Why they were sitting outside of a snow cone place trying to get rid of them, I don't know. But yeah, so we I get on Facebook and I'm looking for more dogs. I was like, okay, so here's this one and this one and this one and this one. Like $800 was kind of out of the budget for a spur of the moment puppy. Um, so I was like, okay, wait, why do you want a dog? Because we've talked about this. Like we would have to ring it with us every weekend. We work a lot, and I was like, and you're worried about the cat scratching up the couches? Like, are you? A puppy is going to chew stuff up if we leave it alone. And I don't know how Ollie. I mean, I know Ollie has been around your dog Pepper, but Angel has never been around any other animals except for when she was a kitten, which were her brothers and sisters, and then Ollie. That's the only animals Angel has been around, I think. Until she got outside that one time, I don't know what she saw, but that's a whole nother story. I think we already told that story in the podcast. But yeah, so I was like, okay, I don't think I dog's going to be a good idea. I think we're getting into over our heads. I was like, but I know you've been saying that you don't want another cat, but that would be so much easier. Um, like I would be comfortable with staying home with it for a few weeks, getting the animals used to the cat. The cat would be fine to be left home on Saturday and Sunday. Like it's the cats are so simple and easy. Like you don't have to monitor them and babysit them and everything else. I was like, you don't have to take them outside. And he was like, okay, but what about the cost? I'm like, okay, let me put this into perspective for you. You're worried about the cost of like extra food and litter. Okay, if we got a dog, that's puppy pads, that's taking them outside, that's dog food that we don't already buy. We already buy cat food and litter. So it's going to be not as much more for one more cat versus a puppy is going to be a whole nother set of items we
Oh,
need.
it's more expensive, trust me. And that's not
Yeah.
me just trying to get rid of Minnie, but like genuinely, like I can give you all the heads up because I've had a dog for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's more going on than a cat.
hmm So he's like, okay, what about vet bills? I'm like, okay. So my brother's already taking care of the vet bills for these animals, pretty much. Like he's fostering them. That's his thing. He's like, okay. And then he just kept thinking of more questions to ask. And he had a couple that I texted you about. So he kind of like had a grin on his face. He's like, we'll see. And I'm like, so yes. He said, I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no. And then last night we were laying in bed and I put a picture of Minnie and Ollie next to each other. And I was like,
And
look,
now he's falling in love.
yeah,
What did I tell you? I told you literally like no, and he's falling in love with a picture. Literally from the beginning, if I would have got y'all at this house and y'all would have been covered with 3 kittens, like even though you're only taking one, y'all would have fell in love with all of them and at least wanted one. Like he
yeah,
knowing him, like, cause he's more of a softie than he admits.
yeah,
Like he would have fell in love with Minnie like immediately, and I genuinely think he was afraid to fall in love with her,
yeah,
and I think he still is, and that's kind of why. And I mean, I heard what you said about like rather bringing her there, and I'm not trying to say like that. Oh, we don't want to go down there or anything. I mean, I need to see your house eventually anyway. But I honestly really want Kevin to experience like that room with the 3 kittens in it and the mom
yeah.
because like he's gonna be like, bro. He might even fall in love with Beeper. It's like, well, y'all can take the mom if y'all want. She's really wonderful.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, dude, Minnie is freaking. They're all three. It's crazy, bro. Like, animals are truly like. I know people say like humans are God's children, but man, animals too, because it's like all three of them have different personalities. Like, and it's just nuts because they're just all from the same litter. Just, they could have all just been like the same. Two of them we call the twins, and they could have just been very similar. But they genuinely all three. Like, Minnie's the super brave one. Gypsy's kind of the middle child where she kind of She's brave, but also a little skittish. And then Danger is literally like the most skittish one, and but also really wacky and like playful, like where she just plays all over the place, and then but doesn't want to be touched. And like the other two want to be touched more. So it's just like so weird how like any of these cats, like somebody would just freaking like just love to have. And I've been holding on to that hope. I'm like, I mean, I always kind of knew too, and I'm not saying it's still happening, taking Minnie, but I have always just been like, you know what, like I'm gonna save Minnie I'm gonna offer the other two to people, and then just say, yeah, Minnie is like just like my sister might take her, and I just been holding on to that, like it's just God's timing at this point, like that he's finally warming up to the idea, so.
Yeah.
And I there is like it's basically like no excuses at this point. I'm not trying to say like I'm not trying to be mean by saying that, but he can't really say much because I literally am offering like if y'all can't do it, we want her back. Like literally you have like it's literally like for rent. Like you can just rent out Minnie, and Ashley even said y'all don't even have to wait if y'all don't want until she gets fixed and she's like an adult. Like y'all can like take her and then we still take care of that later. Like it's literally down to like she is yours, like, and like there's no like reason really not to say anything about Kevin, but there's really not much of a reason he can tell me of why he can't. Because I mean, other than just like, yes, it's another body in your house. And Ashley was even talking about, yeah, and like, I am willing to like buy people cat food or whatever. Like maybe not like, the entire lifespan of the cat, but like just, starting out and later if it's needed. If y'all ran into a situation where it was like we need cat food and can't really like we got bills or whatever, we'll just be like, all right, here's another wave of cat food. Like there's literally like we want to see these cats be in a loving home so bad that they're like our kids that we're just like pawning off. Like just like we want them to be in forever homes so much that we're willing to take care of like until their last breath basically.
Yeah.
But obviously it's still up to him, and I'll respect any decision he makes, but I want to get him here so bad and just let him experience these kittens.
So he did ask me yesterday, and I think this is why he was leaning more towards getting Minnie. He said, so, and I was like, oh no, is it going to be yes or no? He was like, is it going to end with this one, or are you going to win another one in a year? And I was like, no, it'll end with this one. I swear it will.
I mean, this one is kind of a different situation too, where not only do you want another cat, but like it's really helping us out a lot. And I'm not saying y'all owe us that, but it's just like this is different. We need help. We need these kittens gone. But we love them, and we're cherishing. We really love them. Like at first it's just like, oh my gosh, 3 kittens, and like they're cute or whatever. But then they start to grow up around you, and you like learn who they are as personalities, and it's like, dude, I love these 3. It's just a lot. That's like 4 cats in one room.
How old are they again? How old's Minnie?
I want to say it's definitely, I think we've already had them like 2 months.
So like 8
if not close. So around that, maybe 2 or 3 months old now.
Do you know how long they have to be like with their mom?
Well, she stopped feeding them a while back. Like I would pick up Minnie and she had like the bumps of like her freaking, the nipples, the nipples, and they're still they're lower now, like they're just flatter, but she's still kind of like we thought she stopped, but I think Ashley walked into them recently still kind of trying, but they're definitely at the end of getting milk from her, but I think she's still got a little left, I guess, or whatever, like, but they're pretty much at the end of that. But they're at the point now where we've already told the vets, like, they are drinking water, they are eating regular crunchy cat food, and have been for a because at first they were like trying the cat food and then they were having trouble swallowing it because it's too freaking big for their throats, and now they're completely eating that. So they're literally at a point now where, other than doctoring them and getting them fixed and everything, I mean, they're pretty much just living life like a normal cat. And
Yeah.
they do lose the litter box. They actually learned to use the litter box so fast. Like they watched Beeper do it, and they just learned. And they haven't had, other than the picture I showed you earlier. I mean, I think that was a dingleberry. I don't think that was Minnie literally pooping in the floor, but it was just funny that she looked like she was like, I have this for you.
Yeah.
But literally, like, I do believe it was just a dingle because they have not pooped in the floor in so long, and so we're like, oh my gosh, they're already litter trained. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Well, see, it's I googled it and it says 8 to 12 weeks. So she's about at that time. Angel got taken from her mom at 2 weeks. Her mom died. So I don't know like exactly what happened. I think she was an indoor outdoor cat. The mom was, so that's why Angel is like so small, is because she was taken so early, and that's what I didn't want to do. I was like, okay, if she needs to be with her mom more, then I'm not gonna take her yet. But yeah, I think we're planning on coming over this weekend, and we may be taking a cat back with us. The only
I
thing
would love it, but
yeah, the only thing that I'm like concerned about is how Ollie is gonna get along with her. Angel, I'm not that worried,
yeah,
but like,
doesn't Angel standoffish sometimes too, though?
yes, Angel. Okay, I don't. She hasn't been around any other cats, so I don't know. But she hates children. Like
Oh my gosh.
anything smaller than an adult, she looks at him and hisses. She's like, okay, that is spooky. So I don't know how she's gonna get along with another cat. Ollie, I know how he acts around kittens because we got Angel when she was a kitten, and he definitely does not like them at first. It took him about 3 or 4 days to be like, okay, I can be around you and tolerate you. Just because Ollie is a grumpy old man, and he's like, get that thing away from me. But after he got used to Angel, then he was like, okay, they would cuddle and he would give her baths and everything else. Like Ollie, once he warms up, he is such a dad. So
Yeah.
yeah, I know that it'll be good to have Ollie as a girl dad. That's what me and Ash keep saying. Is that's Ollie's daughter.
Yeah, and I mean, he'll get used to her, and like, he's not gonna be good for like a couple months. Like, he's generally gonna be in such a mood, but I'm already bracing for that. But honestly, like, just keep momming Minnie, I guess, and just like, I don't know, like, let her sleep in the, like, I would probably immediately, if you want Minnie in the bed with you, I would immediately train her for that. I would like get her ready to, like, okay, you're gonna be sleeping with me, and then like, if Angel, because Ollie sleeps with Kevin, so I think it's like you're gonna have three cats in your dang bed.
Yeah,
But
I'm so excited.
but yeah, I mean, it should be fine. Like, he's just gonna be in a mood for a while. And since
Yeah,
I know him a lot more now, I already know that.
yeah. Um, but Ollie, like right now, he's on the guest bed chilling. He's been there since I woke up.
What?
Um, yeah, it's so weird because Ollie will sleep on Kevin's side of the bed. Eventually, he gets up in the middle of the night and goes and he's by himself. He's like, okay, I've had enough of these stupid feet kicking me. But he'll go in there. But then if like after Kevin goes to work, if I'm still in bed and I lay on Kevin's side of the bed, then he will get up and move. But because after he hears Kevin's alarm and comes in here and tells him good morning every morning. So after Kevin goes to work, then he'll lay down, and then if I wake up and I'm on his side of the bed, then he'll move. Like he will not sleep in this bed or unless Kevin's here or Kevin's side is available. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So, and Angel sleeps at the end of my side of the bed or on top of me, however she feels that day. But yeah, we need an Angel cam before we end the podcast. Hold on.
All right. All right. All right. What? Why is she thinking? She's like putting her hand on her chin. What the heck, Cash? She's so weird.
That's the Angel cam. We can do an Ollie cam too if we would like.
All right.
Yeah. So I somehow need to like upload the picture of Ollie and Minnie next to each other on the podcast so people can see. But I don't know how to do all that. So I'll send it to my editor and he can do it.
Yeah, me.
Yeah. Here's an
He
Ollie.
works really hard. Oh my gosh, there's the boy. He literally looks like he's also been sleeping for a week. So,
Yes, he has.
so, because I could tell when a cat has like his chin kind of flatter, he's definitely been just laying there and like his fur is all matted down.
Yeah.
But guys, we love you. If you do you have any advice or anything to give them before we head off?
Be safe.
Don't camp during storms.
Yeah, for real.
But y'all didn't know it was gonna happen, so.
Yeah, be safe if you're in a tornado and don't panic. Just chill out.
chill out and don't die.
Yeah.
What can I
Panicking
say?
is
Cherish your animals. Like, if you haven't like gave your animals a good like loving on in a while, like just understand that they're also God's children, and just if they haven't been to a vet visit in a while, please get them checked in. Like, have somebody help you with that if you can. Because like, I don't know, like they don't last forever, unfortunately. I mean, cats and dogs can last a good while of your life, but they don't live longer as long as us, except for occasional ones. So just cherish your animals and let them know that you love them. Anyway, guys, we love you, and we'll talk to you guys next time. We love you.
Bye.
Goodbye.